Fuel delivery. Whether you have a stock truck or a built truck, it is crucial for your engine's performance and your injection components performance to make sure you have proper fuel delivery throughout your entire power band. The guys over at PureFlow Airdog have you hooked up with their Airdog II-5G lift pump. Under factory conditions, your truck suffers from poor fuel delivery. Either your truck has a very weak performing factory pump or it just doesn't have a pump in general. Helping your injection pump out, being able to supply proper fuel pressure is crucial just for your truck to operate optimally. So one of the cool things about these new 5G lift pumps is you can slap them on a stock truck or a heavily modified truck. They're built to support either operation there. The cool thing that they have is their brand new diaphragm regulator. Now, traditionally with diaphragm regulators, you had to remove the housing, replace springs for different spring rates and pressures that you wanted to operate on the truck. They do have two springs in this sucker. One's meant to cover the lighter range of PSI thresholds, and then you have a much heavier spring to cover up to 70 PSI. So makes it much more convenient for you guys in the end. Depending upon your application, if you're stock, you really don't have to worry about anything. For you guys kind of approaching higher horsepower territories, they have you set up. So some other major differences that you're going to see from the 5G to the previous 4Gs, the porting internally on just the base plate of these pumps, they are a 3/4 by 16 inlet and outlet, and then you have a 7/16 by 20 return line. You also kind of see that the orientation of the pump seems a little bit backwards, where your water separator traditionally was on the other side and your particulate filter was on the other side. What Airdog has done, instead of mounting these externally to the frame, which you still can do, your stickers are just going to be backwards and your regulator is going to be facing towards the frame. Per the instructions, they want you mounting this internal to the frame. So, next to your transmission, driveline, wherever you want to mount that sucker, they want that hanging out internally. Some major differences that you're going to see from the 5G compared to the old 4G, they've worked on flow. So the base plate of this, you're running a 3/4 by 16 inlet and outlet. You're also running a 7/16 by 20 return. This is to help you guys who are pushing a little bit higher horsepower just for overall flow. There's no restriction on the plate there. I've also worked on lubrication of the gerotors internally here to help out with just overall operation. Also to prevent cavitation on a higher horsepower applications or to worry about, a loud pump or anything like that. So they've really covered on making this an awesome unit from mild to wild. Also, another thing they're hitting up on, they have changed up your wiring harness compared to a traditional 14 gauge wire. They have increased it up to a 12 gauge, so a little bit thicker wire to help out with a little bit more power draw. Again, for you guys who are running higher horsepower, it's not something you're gonna have to worry about tripping a fuse or a relay or burning up the wiring harness. Airdog's thought of that. Also included in the kit here, you have all your hardware necessary to mount this to your truck here. They also include fittings. Some people kind of go back and forth on plastic fittings versus metal fittings. One of the nice things is you don't have to worry about, plastic fittings rusting. They're definitely a high strength plastic where you pretty much have to run over one of these setups to damage it. So Airdog's also got you taken care of with that setup there. I do find when trying to push a push lock onto one of Airdog's hoses that they're providing, which is a 300 PSI half-inch hose, heating up the hose in a hot pot or something with boiling water in it to help the rubber loosen up really helps with seating that push lock there. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting it a little bit. Just make sure the hose is dried off before you're plumbing it up to your truck. So one of the really cool things with the 5G pump is it has you guys covered from mild to wild. What I'm referencing is whether you have a stock truck or there's plans for growth, or if you plan on going with a heavily built truck, the 5G is the pump for you. One of the nice things about this is for you guys who are going for a high horsepower application, one thing you traditionally had to worry about was fuel PSI dropping. With the new diaphragm pump that Airdog has on the 5G, they have a boost reference port here where you can plumb up some form of boost pressure there. For every 1 PSI of boost, you get 1 PSI of fuel pressure. So that's where you really don't have to worry about your fuel pressure trailing off and having to worry about your supply. One of the things they're also including with their kit here is a suction line for your factory sending unit. So instead of having to drill a hole at the bottom of your fuel tank, all you have to do is modify your sending unit with a little hole up top there. Just plug in your suction line there and you are good to go. So if you're probably wondering why you should be running a lift pump here, Fuel supply pressure is the #1 thing that I really like hitting on just from your factory setups, or if you don't even have a factory pump. What typically ends up happening is just tossing a lift pump on the truck, you can see a little bit better throttle response from what I've noticed, just again from that proper supply pressure. One of the nice things that they're also including a 2-micron fuel filter and a high efficiency water separator. Your factory setups, while they do the job, they don't do a very good job. And in today's day and age, with the quality of fuel, we have been seeing more and more fuel contamination out there. So being able to protect your injection system is crucial, not only for money, but just reliability of your truck long term. So with the Airdog 5G being a demand flow system here, you don't have to worry about excessive fuel pressures or anything. It's supplying what the engine's asking, the rest is getting returned. So Airdog's been a huge proponent of being able to remove any sort of air from your fuel system there. They really care about making sure you get a pure supply of diesel up to your injection pump. No sort of air getting up that way to cause any sort of cavitation or damage throughout your fuel system. So you are quite literally just getting a pure supply of diesel to your injection pump. Also, they care about the return from the Airdog to your tank there to prevent any sort of excessive aeration of your fuel from it getting returned to the tank. They make sure that it is a low return rate so you don't have all this extra fuel sloshing around causing more aeration. So included with your installation instructions here, Airdog also provides your lifetime warranty. Make sure you fill that out to completion and send it off to the guys at Airdog to have on file. If you ever run into any issues with their systems, Airdog has one of the greatest customer service teams out there to get you squared away and get you back on the road. So in conclusion, if you guys have any questions about the Airdog 5G or any of Airdog's products, or any products that we have on the website, don't hesitate to reach out to us or shoot us a phone call. We're there from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, Monday through Friday.